So today at work, I was at my lovely position where we merge our two lines, just hanging out, doing some training. This lovely woman walks up wearing a Mystic Grill shirt.
Oh, wow. In the
Mis-
Wow.
wild.
in the wild. And I was
In
like,
2020. It's 2020, y'all.
2020 Mystic Grill. And I
Also-
went, yeah, Mystic Grill.
Wait, did you promote the podcast?
Well, I couldn't exactly yell at her as she's trying to get onto my ride.
Hey, hi, hello, everyone, and welcome to Afterbite. It's a Vampire Diaries fan cast. It's only 10 years too late. This is episode 40 of Afterbite.
We're
Oh,
so
God.
close to 50.
Y'all, this is episode 40. We've been doing this for so long.
It hasn't even been a year yet, and I'm exhausted.
This podcast is exhausting.
And the best part is, we've done 40 episodes. I've only been on 2.
One day you're gonna hit double digits on episodes that you're on. I swear,
wait.
one day.
The amount of exhaustion that comes from watching each episode and having to like just experience it, break it down in your brain, and then be like, okay, now I'm gonna talk about it for like an hour and a half.
It is, I will say though, it's so hard doing the notes when the episode is like, meh. But I
Yeah.
will say though, this episode doing the notes, I just flew. I was like,
There was a lot of stuff going on this episode.
so much happened in
I
this
will
episode.
say there's some things where I was like, this feels off, but okay,
Oh.
episode.
The fun part about this episode is that it like feels pretty tight. But when
Yeah.
you look at it overall, you're like, wow, a lot happened. But like it feels like a pretty tight episode.
It
Yeah.
feels like everything was centered around one thing.
Even though it really like wasn't, but it also
Yeah.
kind of was.
Yeah.
Let's
This
just
is-
talk about it.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite episodes of season 3.
Really?
Yeah,
See, that surprises me.
there.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That
It's up
surprises
there
me here.
just because of a certain thing that happens.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
So this week on Afterbite, we're talking about episode 318, The Murder of One.
I love that title.
Which I didn't think it was a good title. And then I got into it and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a good title.
It's a nice
actually.
descriptive title.
It is.
It is. It grabs me. This could also be the title of an Agatha Christie book. And so,
Yeah.
therefore, I'm
Ooh.
here for it. The Netflix description for this episode is so fun. It is, Stefan's emotional turmoil leads him to a dangerous confrontation with Klaus, and later, to a heartbreaking moment with Elena.
So the last 5 minutes of the episode.
Exactly. It's one of those fun ones that you like. It's like they have told you that you're gonna be in a car crash in 3 weeks. And then they're like, good luck though, gang. And then they just like set you off.
I think another instance of Netflix description writer being like, oh, I don't want to watch this entire episode. I'm choosing this random point at the end. Good luck.
And good luck indeed, because what a humdinger of an episode. Just like a weird, like, mess of things that I think I enjoyed, but I don't know if I enjoyed actually.
I
Yeah.
will say, coming into this episode of Afterbite, I don't know how I feel about this episode. I'm like very in the middle about it.
I know how I feel.
Well, yeah, Brian, you've seen it like how many times?
This is actually the 40th time I've watched this episode. Yay!
Oh wow, congratulations.
So weird.
The boys are learning woodworking this week because they're trying to make some white oak stakes out of the old sign that they came from like Wickery Bridge.
Why are they so big? Why are the stakes so huge?
Gotta make sure you get that good. Hi-ya.
You gotta grasp it firmly and then plunge it into somebody's chest. So I know that sounds like a sex thing, but it is about
Oh,
murder.
no, I went to
so-
SpongeBob.
But like, yeah, they kind of gotta be a little big so that you can actually like reach their hearts with it.
Yeah.
I think it was too big, in my opinion. It
I
felt
wanted to see him make something other than a stake. Make a fucking blow dart. Make some bullets. Make some wooden fucking bullets. You've
And, like-
been able to do that already. Like, come
Make
on.
a rocking horse.
Make a murderous rocking chair. Just do it, y'all. Come on.
It also feels like they just wasted so much wood. you know?
But they also made 12 steaks. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like, that sign was definitely way bigger than 12 steaks worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the best part about this is that that sign was like historically restored for the new bridge. Carol Lockwood's gonna be pissed.
They're gonna need a new fucking sign, and just what a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This brings it back also. This brings back at the beginning of, I think, last episode or the one before that, where Carol Lockwood asked Alaric, she was like, hey, do you have the fucking sign? And he was like, nope.
She's still looking for the sign.
She's still- Legends say that Carol Lockwood is still out there, just looking for that.
Yeah, Carol Lockwood still out there. Anyway.
The boys are learning woodworking, and they make Alaric put the ring back on.
Such a stupid idea.
Well, Alaric's single, he should put a ring on it.
But also, that moment, they try to make that moment so dramatic,
They
but
do.
they can't. It's just one man staring at a ring, and then both the Salvatore boys going, you should put that on. That's the whole thing.
And
That's it.
I was like, but what if Alaric didn't put it on and just like died, like any normal human? Like, he's already causing trouble, you know? Like, why don't we just like, if he dies, he die. What's there? Like, everyone's obsessed with like people living past death, and like, let's just let people die if they die. You know what I mean?
Next time Alaric's in the hospital, all right, pull the plug.
Alaric's also a serial killer. He is also, like, y'all, he is also murdering people actively.
It's fine. Fine.
Like, let him die in peace, okay? He's a serial killer.
He's a serial killer.
Hope he doesn't go after my frosted flakes.
They're like, hey, we know you're a serial killer, but
get that.
but can you put on this ring that actually makes it worse for you and might trigger something more in you so that you kill more people? Thanks. Even though it's gonna save you, and also might trigger you to kill more people. Hope you're okay with that.
I mean, it's a win-win situation.
So, a lot of the early part of this episode, for some reason, happens in the woods. So we go to the fucking woods for whatever reason.
My favorite musical.
We're going into the woods, gang. Caroline gets the confirmation from Elena that Alaric is the one who killed her dad, which is just such a cool thing to just like drop on your friend.
Also, like interesting dynamic, knowing later on they have children. They like co-parent.
Well, here's that. We'll get into that one season.
They
7.
co-parent. Let's say it like that. They co-parent.
They
do not have children.
They don't have children. They co-parent.
Yeah.
There was no physical anything.
That would have been weirder.
Yes.
Way more weirder.
Hey, Josie, hey, Lizzie, I know it's weird, but your dad killed your grandpa. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Also, though, your grandpa was homophobic, kind of.
So maybe it was for the best.
It's okay, gang.
Oh, poor Josie. She would have been like, God damn it.
It just, the fact that they co-parent later on in the show, who made that decision?
Candace King and her husband having a baby at that point in time.
That's
and
literally
going, well, shit.
Boys and the Mystic Falls gang. So the boys, Elena, Caroline, and Matt, are going through plans on how to kill an original.
Ooh.
Which also, that entire scene, I was like, it's so clear how you guys are going about this. Why are we explaining it in such detail? Like, why are we going through
then also, the plan they use later on then isn't one of the ones they explain here.
No, but I do like, though, that they had a backup for the backup for the backup for the backup.
And they had that for every sibling.
Yeah.
It was just...
Who's remembering all of that, by the way?
Nobody.
No one. We definitely know Matt Donovan is not going to remember that.
Also, why is Matt there?
He's fine.
If anybody should be there, it's probably Alaric or Jeremy because they can't die.
Yeah,
if Matt Donovan dies, he just dies.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Also, I did like Caroline's line, like, how come I always have to be Klaus bait? I'm like,
well, yes, exactly. We should discuss that. Why is Caroline always the Klaus bait?
Because they made it weird.
They just made it too weird.
Because Candace Ackle is too powerful.
She's just too pretty.
Yeah.
And
I get
so
okay,
And her and Joseph Morgan, mwah.
yeah, I guess, but no, not that part.
Not
No.
well, not it's not like
not right
chef,
now.
not right now.
But,
It's
like
not chef's kiss now in 10 years.
but, like, I just think that women should stop being a part of the male gaze, you know?
Oh, you're so correct.
Like, let's
Mm,
stop
But
it.
also, this is the Vampire
Yeah, I
Diaries.
know, I
yeah.
know, I know it's the Vampire Diaries. I just wanna, like, hope for better. Actually, why am I hoping for better?
You
I
will
was gonna
get
say,
better. Ish.
it will, but also it wa
I would just
What
like to live in
cost?
I would just like to live in a society where the male gaze is non-existent.
Good luck, girl. We go to one of my favorite dynamics of this episode, which is Klaus tracking down Finn.
In
Hmm.
the city.
In the city, Klaus is tracking down Finn. I like their dynamic because Klaus is clearly the annoying little brother here.
I
Mhm.
love it.
And Finn's just like walking down the street and he's like, I don't want to fucking deal with you right now. And Klaus is like, but you should. It's such a good, fun dynamic that I just really like. And
There in this
uh,
scene, I think there's, like, some dialogue where I'm just like it feels like, I don't know, cliché, if that
I
makes
mean, you're
sense?
correct. This is a show about the Vampire Diaries
Yes.
again.
But
Everything is a cliche.
yeah, but the dialogue specifically here felt very cliché, not in a way that I necessarily liked, but the little scene was cute.
I just
Yeah.
think they like it's even in like Klaus's like body language is even just like a little more looser than say he is with like Elijah.
Yeah,
It's just a
yeah.
little more like, yeah, I'm your little brother. You're not to just fucking put up with me because I'm your little brother.
And I
um,
also love, like, didn't they talk about, like, Klaus putting Finn back into the coffins?
yeah,
Imagine
he was
someone, like,
like,
randomly just walking by, like, "I'll put you back in a box," and they're like, "What the fuck?"
I know. Imagine everybody else in that city who's like, who the fuck
Who are
is
these people?
what
Who
kind
puts their
of weird
brother in a
cosplay are they
box?
doing? So Finn tries to run away from Klaus, and he is stopped by Rebecca, and they sort of take down Finn, drag him back to Mystic Falls, and steal his blood.
That's normal.
You know what? Just sibling things.
Just Michelson things.
Just Michelson things. Because they do steal each other's blood like quite a lot, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's a trope.
They just really do like
I love how that's a
play
trope,
fast and loose with
Yeah.
that.
but also that makes sense for a show about vampires.
You're correct.
Blood.
So they so Klaus and Rebecca cart Finn back to Mystic Falls into Michelson Mansion, and they reunite him with his true love, Sage. And I will say they're actually kind of cute in this episode.
Yeah.
I think they're actually really cute.
They are cute. I think him reuniting with Sage and deciding to forego his former plans really confused me about his character. So
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a very quick like 180, and but you never see him like pressed on that. You only see
No.
him having a good day with Sage,
yeah,
and you never see him like pressed to if he were to choose between one or the other. I feel like in that moment he's just allowing himself to be a little carefree since Esther's off trying to find some other way
yeah.
to kill them all, that
Yeah.
sort of
I
thing.
think that I guess the reason why I mean it felt off just because because you know how like all of the Michelson siblings they all have like one trait that's supposed to be amplified, you know, quote
Mhm.
unquote, one trait.
Mhm.
And I was always so confused about what Finn's trait was. So
It's
I was
because we just don't know a lot about his character.
yeah,
We
and
know
like
he's a mama's boy, and that's like all we know about him. So
yeah,
we kind of
yeah.
have to assume that that's his trait, but also it might not be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because then this episode kind of makes me think maybe that's not it if he's like just like defying that right now and like just like deciding to like forego like dying for like his siblings, right? And I think another thing is that I really don't like how we don't really know a lot about Finn because I feel like it would have amped the stakes up way more if we like
Hmm.
I would have cared
Yeah.
more about his character this episode than the things that happened to him way more if we
Mm.
knew about him. And then like whatever I'm not gonna I won't spoil what happens to him at the end, but you know the thing that happens to him at the end I feel like would have had a much bigger impact on me versus being like, oh, I see that happening and I guess it's just gonna happen, whatever. You know?
Yeah. I will say this as like a little, you will learn a little bit more about Finn in the future.
Mhm.
Like, this isn't the last time we'll see Finn,
Okay.
Finn
obviously.
dies this episode. In case you're
Right.
wondering the spoiler that we're pussyfooting around on, he dies this episode. He's the original that gets murked this episode.
He's just like, let me just say it so it's out of the
We
Let me
might
way.
as well
say
just
it
say
so
it.
we can just say it and talk about it.
But I will say this is not the last time you're going to see him.
Yeah, I guess I
And it's
just
not
wish.
the last body you'll see him in either. He has a few of
Ooh.
those.
Twisty
Okay.
twisty. And it actually brings in one of my favorite characters from the originals too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
It's actually like Finn's storyline here sucks, but
Yeah.
The
the
original?
way he comes back
Mwah.
later is much more fun and just such a good
And it
just such a
opens up
good time.
and it opens up like so many more doors for the originals, like storyline wise. And also brings in an awesome actor, by the way. Also, because I haven't been here for the past couple of episodes, I need to say what I need to say about Sage. Because I haven't been here yet.
Okay,
Okay.
say what you need to say about Sage. Let's talk about Sage and Finn right now. Let's go.
I like
Dish.
Sage. She's one of my like favorite like one-off kind of characters. I
I
like
like her, but she says some weird shit about women, but I
She
like her.
does.
That's
Like
to be
rewatching it like
expected.
now, I was like, ooh, Sage. She's so because Cassidy Freeman, love her because she was in Smallville, and she
Oh,
played I think Lex Luthor's sister.
I
Mhm.
almost watched Smallville.
Smallville's very good. I highly recommend it. It's a good show, just very long and drawn out. Um,
So,
I recommend. It's a
So
good
like
show.
the Vampire Diaries
yeah.
is what you're saying.
No,
It's a
I was about
CW
to
show. What do
say.
you expect? But she played like a really awesome character on that, like big, like boss woman, constantly getting knocked down and getting back up again. So when I found out she's going to be on the Vampire Diaries, playing this character, I was like, yes. And then no.
She says some really weird shit
But
about women,
yeah,
but I
now
still like her. I
watching it
think.
again, like now, I'm like, oh, that's problematic.
Yeah.
But still, like, she's just a different kind of character. Like, she's like
She
an older vampire, like something like we never kind of got to see. Also, because I haven't been here, Brian, fun fact time.
Mhm.
She's in the Vampire Diaries books. But
Oh,
fun
is she really?
fact, it's not a she. It's a he. And
Oh.
he is the son of the devil.
Oh.
Oh, fun. So Finn doesn't have a gay lover in the books. He just
No, Finn doesn't even
is
exist in the books.
Aw, rip.
Yeah.
So
And the fun facts
I
with Brian. Ding.
we need a fucking theme song for that
We do.
apparently.
No, but I did like Sage. Yes, some things that were said, but still loved her
In
because
poor
Cassidy
taste,
Freeman.
yeah.
In
I
poor
never,
taste,
I,
yes.
I never like disliked her per se, but like, some
I
of the
like. I don't know. I just like the like. The. That's really the best way to put it. Like the.
you said that in Smallville she played like a boss character.
Yeah,
I
a
feel like
boss
she
ass
got.
bitch.
I think she got typecasted as that again here.
Yeah,
But
but like a
also
boss
it's
ass
so
bitch that
fun
like went
because
through
she
it.
like got shit done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes characters on the show just talk about getting shit done and they don't actually get shit done. She
Sage
just
got shit
got
done.
shit done.
She just did things.
Like I was actually very curious, like what you guys thought about her. Like watching it again, I was like, I know B and Jordan are gonna have a lot to say about her.
I think that I don't necessarily hate her, and when she was
Yeah,
first introduced, it was like really cool because she was like a boxer, and I liked that.
yeah,
I
that was my
think
favorite part about it.
I think that I guess I kind of have like I don't know if it's like a similar relationship that I have towards Catherine, where like
Okay.
I don't like love her character for the same reasons I would love like Caroline, you know?
Yeah, I kind of like
Like
Sage
it's
because
more
she's
of like
like,
a she's like not a great person, but it's okay because she's pretty. Here's my thing with bad characters. I'll excuse it if you're attractive enough.
Same.
Yeah.
Me with the entirety of the Legacies cast.
like, oh, you're a bad person. Oh, I hate that. But also you're pretty enough. So like, okay. I'm okay with it. Next.
So Rebecca just yeets Damon out of the Salvatore house.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
She just
basically.
steals him.
She's like,
She
mine.
she to- she tosses Alaric down quite a bit, and then she just steals Damon. So that's a
Ugh.
fun thing.
There was also like I don't remember where it was, but there was like a tiny little ad placement this episode too.
Right, when, oh my god, I do want to talk about this actually.
Oh wait, the phone thing?
Yeah, the phone thing.
Ugh, I hate that so much.
It was a very good ad placement, 10 out of 10.
It really
Klaus,
was though. It's so subtle but so stupid.
Klaus uses like a 2013 like phablet, like a large ass phone with a
With a
with
pen.
a fucking pen,
Like a
with
Galaxy
a
Note, you
stylus.
guys. I had a Galaxy Note and
Oh my god.
I had that little pen with it.
Also, remember when we used to call large phones phablets? Let's bring it back.
I call them
It's an
iPhones
awful
now.
name, but let's bring it back. So, just such a good little
What does he write on there
place.
again?
He's like, I will.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like a two-word response.
And he writes it so big too. He's like, I will.
I know.
It's so funny.
Cole is gonna play into this somehow, some way. You rest assured, because Cole is the one who texted Klaus that prompted him to take out his sponsorship money. So, in case you were worried Cole wouldn't be showing up again, he will. Bonnie is apparently not returning anybody's calls.
Weird.
Bonnie's missing.
But like,
Is
not
anyone
missing
gonna freak
because
out? No.
Maybe she's just like, yeah, maybe she's just going through it because her mom did leave her again like last week. So
she's struggling currently.
she's having a time, and I think we should all give her that space to have a time, you know?
Exactly.
However, while they're all reminiscing about this, the Mystic Falls gang notes that they can see Finn is back as he's, walking through town on a lovely little walk with Sage.
Yeah.
And this is where I think we just like don't get into the meat of Finn's character, because Sage reveals to him that she still loves him and she doesn't want him to die. And then the scene cuts away to the Mystic Falls gang. So we don't ever see his response to that. So he doesn't feel like he doesn't feel like he's had any character conflict here because we don't see what his response to that is. Like, would he, if push come to shove, go with Sage and not his mom? Like, we don't see the conflict that exists for Finn.
And they like, I feel like they set it up later on where they're having that little conversation at the Mystic Grill, and she's talking about how she's turned other vampires, and like you can see like a little bit of like a little
like alarm in his eyes a little bit.
And you're like, oh, this would be a perfect time because he doesn't want more vampires around, right? So maybe this like causes like more critique of Sage, maybe more like, oh, I actually shouldn't be doing this. But then he kind of does that a little bit, and then he just goes back to drinking with Sage as if nothing's wrong. And like, oh, that feels weird. That feels off.
Yeah, we get hints about the conflict that Finn could have, and then never again.
Yeah.
We breeze over it as we do with so many things in this show. But Finn, we never get the resolution of that 3 episodes later because, like I said, he does get murked this episode. He does die. Damon gets like strung up by like hunting traps in the Michelson living room.
Yeah.
Which very gory. This is like a really gory sequence.
It was a lot, especially the one later on.
Yeah, even I had to like cover my eyes a little bit. I'm like, God damn, okay,
like,
sure.
I
liked it.
I liked it too, but it's much more gory than I think we've seen recently on the show.
They upped the gore budget.
They really did. This is all their prosthetics budget. This is going to be the first episode of Afterbite during which I have consumed 2 V8 energy drinks.
Oh fuck, we're
because I could not go on with the like half hour we just had and then continue at this high energy fun level show that we do.
It was a lot. We just went through a lot. You did not see the behind the scenes, but it was a lot. Maybe we'll talk about it one day.
Maybe we'll talk about how much the universe does not want us to make this podcast one day.
We defy the universe you guys. We defy
maybe one day we'll listen. We'll listen to the universe and just be like, you know what? No. Actually, no.
Maybe not. Maybe we don't need this anymore.
We're kidding. That day will never come. We are going to finish the Vampire Diaries.
Don't you worry. Okay?
In the originals and legacies, please rest assured.
Don't
We are
worry
doing
about
our
it.
duty to society by doing this very useless
And
podcast.
then as soon as we think we're done, Julie Plec announces a 4th spinoff.
No, there can't be. I
We
refuse.
can never rest.
I refuse to believe that there's going to be a 4th spinoff. No.
I think they'll do some sort of movie.
Maybe a movie,
The
not a
Vampire
spin-off.
Diaries.
Wait,
Part 2.
guys.
What?
Yeah.
Consider this. Web series.
No. No.
No.
Play this clip back in 3 years when I'm right. I'm placing my bets now, gang. You all owe me $20 if this fucking happens.
I don't want to go through another
sorry,
web
I'm broke.
series.
You
you
better
know how-
scrape up some coins to pay me because I will be correct in a web series.
You know how much like a web series can either be done really well or just badly.
I am aware. I was gay. I watched Carmilla. Klaus makes mention a few times of talking to a witch. And he's like, this is my witch. A witch that's my friend and working for me. And then he walks upstairs and it's Bonnie Bennett. And she says, fuck you. And he's like, not how this is going to go, darling.
Klaus really said, there are many witches like this, but this one is mine.
I was fully not expecting that. That was a surprise.
Really?
I wasn't expecting
totally
it.
saw that coming.
I
really thought this was just an episode that Kat Graham wasn't in.
Yeah, that's what I
She
thought.
was just gone again.
Because I do it so often that I'm like, oh, she's just gone for a couple episodes.
Bonnie's at the spa, like, they're like, Bonnie, we need you.
She's like, hey, I'm going through therapy right now. Just like, let me have this, y'all.
And I'm like, yeah, you should have that. Good for you, Bonnie. And then they're like, actually, no. Bonnie's here. She's actually here. She's trying to help Klaus, undo this spell.
Yeah. Oof.
Which, by the way, when Bonnie makes things worse, we don't call that flex tape. What do we call that?
That is still flex tape, though.
Yeah.
Is
because here's the thing. Bonnie is not making this worse by undoing the originals, the spell that bound all the originals together. She's actually making it better, because if they had killed all of the originals, all of the vampires would die too.
That's true. Yeah.
So this is Bennett flex tape to stop one problem from happening by causing another.
What is it when you have a trope? Is it called inverting a trope?
Yeah.
I think this is inverting the trope, where you're like, oh, this is a bad thing, and then it actually turns out it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Klaus pressures her by threatening Jeremy, who happens to be followed by Cole. And I know, Jordan, last time we talked about Jeremy, he mentioned that dog, and I was like, the dog's never gonna come up.
And I saw the dog!
You saw the dog for like 3 seconds.
But it still counts, B. It still counts.
Sorry.
And you lied to me. You lied straight to my face. Well, not straight to my face, because we're not in the same room, but straight to my face,
straight to your ears,
straight to my ears, straight to my face, metaphorically, as if we're still all at that metaphorical round table.
Honestly, I forgot Jeremy even had a dog.
Because they never mention it again. He just leaves Denver. He just leaves.
He's like, bye.
I assume his dog is with his friends.
Nice happy family in the mountains.
I assume it's with his friends. He's like, oh, I'll be back, and then he never comes back.
Yeah.
And then he just leaves. Yeah. So Caroline is checking in on Alaric this episode because he's getting babysat this whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great, because normally he does the babysitting.
That's true. Because he is, again, literally an adult, except now he's an adult serial killer.
They grow up so fast.
I'm so proud of him. Wipe single tear. Soon he'll be on Medicare before you know it. So they have a little talk about murdering. They just have a little friendly chat about murder.
They're like, Caroline's like, we all have blood on our hands, and I'm like, it's so weird that you all have blood on your hands. Like,
even Elena has even killed people.
It's like, should we unpack that?
Nope.
I feel like the only person who hasn't killed someone yet was Bonnie.
Wait, has Matt killed anyone?
Not yet.
Not yet. No, it's just Matt.
Not yet.
So we got about 2 characters who haven't killed anyone yet.
You know what? Bonnie being a pacifist, go her.
She's very clearly not a pacifist. She is in the middle of this shit.
She's aiding and abetting. That's about it.
Exactly. So, Caroline forgives Alaric because she's a good person.
It's a very cute scene. I love
It is
it.
I
like a good
loved
scene. I
it.
feel like she needed that.
And
It
also, I
kind of
love
like,
all the close-up shots that they have in the scene. I think those were so great, and also would
yeah,
work great for like thumbnails. So
yeah. I did like Caroline's like little mind delve into her first kill because they never really
mhm.
touched upon that. Because someone
Yeah,
like Caroline killing someone for the first time, that's got to be like, ugh. But
especially
like,
because of the person who Caroline is.
yeah, she just kind of like brushed it off. But like how she said like, I liked it though. Like, ooh, it's just chilling. I love Caroline.
Me too.
I'm gonna die for
Same.
that. I'm gonna die for that woman one day.
You mean like
Same.
in the show?
No, in real life, I will.
He will just perish.
I will just
Oh.
perish. I'll be like Candace King.
Elena and Stefan are gonna kill Finn.
I
Uh,
oh wait, I wanted to say something about this
Ooh,
scene
yeah.
you
really
do.
quickly before we really get into it.
Ooh.
Mhm.
It's nothing serious. It's just that I really like Elena's coat and I want one.
It is a nice coat. I will give you that much. Her and Stefan always have the best coats. I will say
Her
that.
this episode, her outfits on point. I love them.
Yeah.
Have we noticed that they're like always wearing coats outside?
What's
Yeah.
cold?
Yeah, because
They're
right
in
now
no,
when
but
they were
they're like in the middle, right? Like they're like Virginia's pretty middle country in, on a
yeah,
coast,
Virginia
yeah, but
has like cold weather, but also Georgia does too. So like when they were
it's
shooting this,
true.
I think it was like January, December, February, one of those months.
Even the
And
ones they try and pass off as like summer. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, fair.
when they're all like dressed
Okay,
up like
sure.
in
Yeah,
short shorts,
exactly.
and then
They're
like
just
you
in like
just
leather coats in 90-degree weather. Perfect. Stefan is insistent that they kill Finn above all else.
yep,
And Stefan's like, we can't lose sight of taking down original, and we need to do that. But Elena has learned that Damon is being held by Klaus and Rebecca, so she's like, well, why don't we save him? He's like, nah, I gotta fucking kill an original. If Damon was here, he would try and kill the original and not come after me. And
yep,
Stefan's like a shitty boy this episode.
yeah. But I did like how Elena said to him like, "Well, if the roles were reversed, Damon would save you."
But like, would he?
What? But also,
I
here
honestly,
are my thoughts on this entire scene. I think Elena's honestly being stupid, and I agree with Stefan. Here's why.
oh,
Here's why. I think that the characters in the show have a tendency, especially Elena, has a tendency to be like, oh, this person is in trouble. We need to immediately save them because that is now our new priority. I think everyone always has their priorities not in the right order. Okay?
mhm,
Like, I think that, before learning that killing all the originals would kill all the vampires at this point from watching it, I think Stefan's correct. So they have a goal. They need to get it done. And the way that they need to do this is to kill this original, okay? And I just think that it kind of reminds me of the moment a couple episodes ago when they were like, "We need to save Elena. It's important to save Elena," and then they do all this stupid stuff instead in order to save Elena, and then it turns out she doesn't really need saving.
Yeah.
I just think there's a certain time and place to put priority on saving a certain person. And I don't know. I feel like they should be focusing way more because if they do focus on getting in the first, if they focus on killing Finn in this moment, right? And like at this moment, we don't know about the whole like all originals dying, so that all Vampire Diaries, like technically, like if you didn't know that, it would make sense to kill Finn because Damon's is with Klaus and Rebecca, and if you kill Finn, they die, and then Damon's
Exactly.
fine. So like I don't know. Elena's reasoning is just stupid. She's wrong.
I know. Like, if you had killed all of the originals there, Damon, he would have been good.
Yeah, like
yeah.
obviously he wouldn't because he'd be dead.
I mean, yeah,
But
but
Well, they
but
don't know
like
that
at
yet.
this point in time that they don't know that they would have been fine.
Yeah,
it's just so dumb.
It's
it's
such a
fair. But
dumb
but
reasoning.
I did like how Elena like literally was like, think about your brother, like because I
Yeah,
kind of think at this point in time where Damon has said like multiple times, like, yes, I'm going to save my brother, like he's gonna choose Stefan to save him. I kind of think Damon would. He'd probably find a way to kill two birds with one stone. Kill two birds with one stone,
And
obviously.
then fail at that,
And
right?
then fail at it, obviously, because it's Damon, and they need to bring him down a couple pegs, and
Mm-hmm.
then put him back up those couple pegs in 2 seconds.
For
But
no reason. Yeah,
for no
yeah.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I kind of think that Damon would kind of be like wrought with that like moral compass kind of thing, which
Yeah,
would be nice to see.
I
To be
think
plucked.
That would be character growth, though. We can't
yeah.
have that for Damon.
It's fine.
I think there's like a clear point in this, and that this is like Stefan going over the edge, and then they're gonna bring him back, character wise.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense why he's so willing to like just like say Damon's gonna be fine. Let's focus on killing
Yeah.
Finn. And also, he's right. He's just right. He's just straight up right. Like if
Yeah.
they
Like I
kill,
can see
if
where both I can see both sides of this
no,
conversation.
I don't see Elena's side. Elena's side actually doesn't make any sense because
I'm
if
just
they
always
kill
on Elena's side.
because if they kill Finn, then theoretically Damon would be fine because no one would be torturing him anymore because they would also be
Yeah.
dead. So it just like Elena just doesn't make any sense and is making this is we all know that what the point of this is. This is like their little like, oh, look how much Elena cares for Damon moment. And I'm just like, okay, sure.
Fair.
I
That's fair.
guess. I guess that's what's going on, and I have to be okay with it because it's happening. I mean, I don't have to be okay with it, but it is happening.
We go into a dream sequence with Damon. And as with everything with Damon, it's like a little weird the whole time.
I
Yeah, it's a
didn't
big bottle of
realize
bourbon.
it was a dream sequence because it happened right after Alina said that. I thought that was a real thing happening, and I was like, "What's up with
Yeah.
this lighting choice?" Like,
Yeah. Like, wow, she got there really quick. She got all the way to the Michelson Manor and just like walked in. What's the deal with that?
She was like, "Okay, can we turn the filter on real quick? Thank you."
Hey guys, do you mind closing these blinds but like halfway so I can have good lighting, please? And thank you. And then just walked in.
And her brush, she goes, "Action," and just walks in.
So, they have this whole thing where Damon drinks from Elena and it's like way too sensual,
yeah,
as it always is.
uh huh.
And they're about to kiss, but then he wakes up and he is still chained and being tortured by Rebecca. How cute.
Sucks.
Sucks to suck, bud, but just sucks. Bonnie is continuing to work on the spell upstairs in the Michelson Manor, and she hears Damon being tortured, and she's like, hey, what the fuck is going on? Klaus is like, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. I will kill everybody you love if you don't help me with this, so don't worry about it. Like,
He's like, "I'm gonna kill everyone you love, but if you don't shut the fuck up now."
like, that's not the greatest way to get people to do work for you, huh, Klaus? And yet,
Nope.
here he is. Back at the Mystic Grill, Finn and Sage are doing tequila shots because that
Yes.
is the prime of the modern era of alcohol.
Yep.
A man named Troy walks by and Sage reveals that she turned him for protection because, she's in enemy territory here. And as they are doing that, Stefan hands Matt a bottle of vervain to go serve them up some extra shots with vervain inside. Bonnie is still working on the spell, so we do a sort of cut
Quick
back
cut.
and forth here.
It's very well done, and the tension
is.
builds very nicely.
It is.
Good music choice too.
Mm-hmm. Finn talks about how Sage is the only person he's ever turned, and how he was like, I let my passions overtake my morals for just a moment here. So it really
awesome.
makes you think, like, was he really only ever going to turn one person? Like, was he only ever going to turn Sage?
Probably.
And so that makes you kind of delve a little deeper of like, okay, so that's the reason why he was so willing to offer himself up to be a sacrifice, because he only had Sage and he didn't have Sage at that moment, And then Sage is like, well, I've turned a lot of people to live life to the fullest and protect myself. So great job, sweetheart.
And I love how she's like, I don't know how many people I've turned.
She's like, I don't know how many. It's been a long time. It's 900 years, dude.
Yeah, and then don't worry, this is a secret Muscatool for later.
We're going to talk about this bloodline later, huh?
Yeah, this Muscatool bloodline.
Matt drops off another shot, the one that's laced with vervain. Finn and Sage toast, only to be poisoned by the vervain.
Tragic. It surprises me though that two over like basically 1,000-year-old vampires fell for that.
But also, have you ever smelled tequila? How
True,
hard is it
true,
to
true.
smell anything else other than
That's very
tequila?
true.
like, love them, but yeah, I get it. I get it. Stefan lures them outside as Bonnie works on the spell, and you can see that it's starting to separate out all of the blood of the Michelson siblings.
Yep. Hopefully she finishes it quickly. I mean, doesn't finish it quickly.
Stefan jumps on Sage and Finn outside. The Finn goes down on the stairs, and then Matt or Elena, they open the door, like the basement
It's
door.
so good.
It's so fucking funny. Finn falls down the stairs a little bit. Matt and Elena open up the bottom door, the basement door to the grill. Elena shoots him with a crossbow. Matt runs out, stabs Finn with a white oak stake, and then they just leave and close the door.
I loved it. That's like
It was so
like,
good.
all right, we did our
We're
plan.
just like,
Run.
and goodbye. Hit and run. All right, we're out of
They're
here.
like, we did our part. Next. So
And it is
good.
such a well thought out plan. Like, that worked. Okay, you have the humans in there for a split second, and then they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't need to stick around.
So, Sage watches on as Finn dies, and his body starts to burn.
That was honestly, it hurt. Like
I felt so bad for her.
She
She
finally
just
got
got
him
her
back.
boy back earlier today.
Like, oh, Sage, my queen.
Sage, you had a rough go of it.
I love you though.
You've been having a great day up until now.
Yeah.
Up until now. You've been having a real good day up until now, and now your one true love is dead. So, congrats, girl.
It's also
Yeah.
got her hurt way more because she definitely burned that entire bridge. It was like, we're good. And then it was like, no, actually, you're not.
Yeah, literally. She was like, hey, I did all this work. I burned a whole fucking bridge worth of wood for you. And then you got killed by the splinters that were left over. Good work, y'all.
Basically.
Bonnie has somehow, in the nick of time, completed that spell.
And Klaus is still alive.
Unfortunately.
And
Damn
Klaus
it.
shows Bonnie out of the Michelson Manor, and she notices Damon hanging and bleeding out. And Klaus, is this where Klaus says that, like, she should save him?
Yeah. Save the man that killed your mother and turned her into a vampire. Ooh.
And Bonnie just leaves.
Like, as she should. I wouldn't want to. Like, she's rightfully has every right to be angry at Damon right now.
And
All the
also,
time.
how the fuck are you gonna rescue him when Rebecca's right there and Klaus is right
I
behind
don't
you?
want to fuck with Rebecca. She's like, see you in history.
Yeah, like, see you in physics class, bye.
I will say though, I did like the shot when after like everything that happened, because we didn't know what was going on with the spell. Like, did it work? Did it not work? And how they just show Bonnie just like crying, the spell finished, and Klaus still alive. That reveal was like, oh god. It's like, damn it! Like they're gonna think that they won, everything's gonna be great, and then they're gonna get ruined.
And then shit's still bad.
Yep.
Well, I kind of saw Klaus living.
You can kind of see it coming.
You kind of see it coming, but still, it was kind of just like it's one of those things that like stick out. You're like, dang it.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't the season finale. He
No.
wasn't going to die here. We still have a few more episodes in the season, so
Yeah.
he obviously wasn't going to die here.
But I will say, knowing that he wasn't going to die, they did a great build up to him not dying.
They
did.
did. Yeah, they
'Cause
did
at
a
this
really
point-
good build up for all the originals like dying. You were like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I remember watching this like live and thinking like, oh my god, 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 and then fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you really thought they did something there for a minute.
Yeah.
And then they didn't actually. Well, Bonnie did do something.
Bonnie went Fesmatosa dabada.
Mm-hmm. The next sequence I do love so very much.
This is the best.
So, first off, there's a little bit here where Stefan and Elena return to the house to meet with Caroline,
Mhm.
and Elena gets a call from Bonnie about how Klaus has Damon. They learned that Klaus is still alive, and Bonnie delinked all the originals. Bonnie says that she only did it because Klaus threatened to kill Jeremy and her mom, and Bonnie like breaks down with Michelson Manor right there in the background, and
It
I think
was
it's a
it was
beautiful shot.
such a good moment, like sad but good. Where Bonnie's on the phone and then she's like, I have to go, and then shuts off her phone and then just starts breaking down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Ugh.
so good.
I remember watching this live, and
Wow,
I
wait,
think
Brian, did you watch this live?
I did.
Brian,
Surprise.
wait,
Are we
wait, did you watch this
surprised?
live?
I did.
Brian, question.
Uh-huh.
Did you watch this live?
I think I did.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. But anyway, this was really the moment I think because I was very on the fence about Bonnie. I will admit I was not the biggest Bonnie Bennett fan. I still loved her though, but like I wasn't like her biggest fan. I think
Mhm.
this moment really made me go like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
This is the moment where I thought Bonnie was gonna go evil.
Really?
Okay.
This is where
Interesting.
I started to see Bonnie's like downward spiral
I
into like
thought I think
darkness.
I think I was like after watching this, I was like, Bonnie, please go to a therapist.
Me, I'm like, Bonnie, burn Mystic Falls, burn it, destroy
Bonnie,
it.
please get some help because
And then Jordan's
you're
like,
going.
there's a doctor in Mystic Falls. His name is Dr. Fell.
No, just because like it has to be so hard
It
after
does.
losing a parent again,
Yeah.
then being kidnapped, being forced to do something that you know isn't necessarily right, but like you're being
What can you
threatened,
do? Yeah.
and
Mhm.
then just having to deal with all of that at once. Like
Yeah.
her breaking down felt like so right and justified,
It
but
did.
also at the same time felt so heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
at this point, I was like, Bonnie, you need to get out of Mystic Falls. Like, please leave. like,
Bonnie, take a gap year.
don't come back, please. I would be okay with that.
I will say though, it kind of felt like after watching that and like going back and like rewatching like season one, because after like season three ended, I did a rewatch of season 1 to 3.
Hmm.
And it really made me appreciate Bonnie more. And it kind of felt, and it feels like to me now, this moment was Bonnie's like breaking point, one of her many breaking points.
Yeah,
I was gonna say she gets driven to a breaking point
like every
quite
season.
often.
She does.
like this reminds me of season 1, where Bonnie is like doesn't want to be involved with these vampires, and it's like,
Yeah.
Elena, no, I don't want to do that. And then she like
She gets involved.
she doesn't actually perform that spell that they need to be performed, and then a whole bunch of vampires end up dying. This is what that reminded me of, except
Oh
she breaks
yeah.
down afterwards.
I feel like Bonnie, she's just, I will say this throughout the entire thing, and I could write an entire like thesis on this, that Bonnie Bennett is the true hero of the Vampire Diaries universe.
You're
Yeah,
correct.
correct.
Like
You
an
would be
entire
correct
like
just
with
to say that.
references like times like when Bonnie Bennett like literally saved everyone, which she does. People who say like Damon Salvatore is the true hero of Mystic Falls, fuck you.
What?
Fuck you.
People say
It's his
that?
mommy fans. But like Bonnie Bennett, like she did the most. Like, and especially to
That's why
me, like
we call it Bonnie Bennett flexing.
yeah. Cause I remember like cause watching this back in the day, like people were fucking racist. Like
Yeah,
horrible.
not
Shocking.
surprised.
Said horrible things to Kat Graham about Bonnie. All because her book counterpart was white and redheaded. And I even had
Yeah,
a
not
coworker when I
surprised.
worked at
That
one of
still
my
goes on.
yeah, surprised it does. People are still like that, but even with Elena too, they're like, Elena's not olive skinned and black hair, dark hair, she's blonde with blue eyes. Like, shut the
People who
fuck
do
up.
that, you're the bane of my existence for
Literally,
book to
shut the
movie
fuck up.
adaptions. Please be
Um,
quiet. That's not the important part of the story.
exactly. But I had a coworker say like she hates Bonnie because she's black. And I
Um.
literally
Mm.
and I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" It was on break too, and they're like, she's like, "Yeah, she like they made her black just to have representation." I'm like, "Okay, well,
The
still to
show
me, like,
was all white.
I'm like,
I was gonna say.
The show
where are
was
you not
all
represented, you
white.
white bitch?" She's like, "Well, I'm a book purist." I'm like, "Shut up."
No, you're
Books are
fucking
so
not.
And
dumb.
I'm like, "If you want to be a book purist, why aren't you complaining about where the Civil War ghosts are, you fucking bitch?" Oh, yeah, by the way, there were Civil War ghosts in the Vampire Diaries books, and Klaus got carried off by them.
I want you to know, Brian, that because you've talked about how bad these fucking books are so much, I have ordered like the first.
I have the first book back home, and I might, when I go back home, once Corona's over, I'm gonna bring it home and reread it.
I am supporting my local bookstore. Hey, support your local
Perfect.
bookstores, gang. And I'm buying all of the Vampire Diaries books so that inevitably we can do a book club
Yeah.
on them. But I also don't want to walk into that bookstore to pick them up because I don't want people to see my face and be like, "Oh, this motherfucker
But
is
you have a
buying the
mask
Vampire
on.
Diaries."
You have a
books."
mask
That's
on.
true. That's true.
Yeah. But
I don't
like,
want to make eye contact with somebody and go, "Hi, I'm here for the Vampire Diaries books." I don't want to have that conversation in 2020. It's already bad enough.
yeah, there's a lot we could talk about with the books, but it was just so baffling to me because like with me at that age, I just didn't really see Bonnie as like, oh, she's a representation. I saw Bonnie as like this powerful badass witch surround and like by powerful woman, powerful power, like being supported by powerful woman of color around her, and I'm like, fucking, let's rage, let's go, Bonnie.
Let's rage.
Like it was really the first time like in media where I started to see like representation that wasn't like all white because I grew up like with Charmed and like
Yeah,
Sabrina the
I
Teenage
think we
Fucking
all grew
Witch.
up with mostly
Exactly, with
white
mostly
media.
white witches. So for me, like, and of course I know that the trope with witches in the Vampire Diaries is horrible. Like it's bad. Like I will fully admit that. But honestly, Bonnie really opened my eyes and helped expand my mind and thinking and seeing the evilness in people.
Oh yeah, people
Bonnie
are
Bennett
straight up.
really
The
said
Vampire Diaries fandom.
they're horrible. Y'all are toxic.
Y'all
I'm
are
sorry.
toxic. Some of y'all are racist,
I will
and
not tell
it
you
shows.
how badly I got bullied, like cyberbullied, because I didn't like Delana.
That doesn't shock me, honestly.
That doesn't shock me.
Based
But
on our mentions and my mentions every time I insult Damon, I'm not surprised.
it's just so baffling to me that people just don't like Bonnie. And I'm like,
That
why?
is actually really baffling because Bonnie is the one who solves most of the problems in
Like,
Mystic
how do you
Falls.
watch
Like,
the
we
She's
show
fucking
and
so
love
not
so
like
hard.
her?
well-rounded. Like she's a character that's like she's funny. She has a broken past, and she's a powerful, badass motherfucking witch
It's like
from a powerful line of fucking witches.
sometimes racism is stronger than cool
It's just
storylines.
it's
The
just
racism
so,
is way too strong in like
it's so
internet fandoms
stupid.
from the early 2010s and just internet fandoms in general.
And
Yeah,
then Legacy's fans now are like, I want Bonnie to come back. No, Catgram is never coming back
I was gonna
because
say
of
and
you.
Catgram
as
is
she
not.
should.
Yeah,
Catgram is
she
not coming back because of all of you.
Do not not even because of only the fandom, but because of the way she was treated by those
Exactly,
writers.
that too.
Do not come back.
Catgram, stay away.
Stay
I
away.
know you are, but stay away.
Collect your
Please.
check.
But I will say though, Bonnie Bennett is the best character in the entire Vampire Diaries universe. She is my favorite character. I love her to death. And if you're racist towards Catgram, Bonnie Bennett, or any of the Bennett women, fuck you.
If you're racist,
You're just racist. Fuck you.
you.
Don't-
Racist, fuck
yeah,
you.
we don't need an asterisk there. Just go fuck yourself.
yeah, if you're racist and you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know that I am a black woman and I want you to leave. I want you to get out. Leave my space. Goodbye.
We've made this space for us, and if you're racist, you can't come into our cool club.
Exactly.
We have a little sign on the door. Yeah, we have a little sign on the door that says no racist allowed.
Oh,
Because
you know
fuck
what?
it.
We forgot to say it this episode, but fuck
I
Matt
almost forgot to
Davis.
say fuck Matt Davis.
Oh, and fuck Nate Buzz. Fuck Matt Davis. Fuck Nate Buzz. Fuck you both. You pieces of shit.
Men have a bad track record with the TVDU.
Yeah. Men
Meanwhile,
suck.
Nina Dobrev, Candace King, and Cat Graham, they're just thriving.
They really are.
Love that
Candace
for
King,
them.
please come on our podcast.
Candace King, I know you're pregnant right now, but please.
Let's talk about my favorite scene in this whole episode
Yes,
now, shall we?
Okay, yeah.
Bonnie Bennett
Actually,
having
yeah.
a breakdown, another breakdown, yes.
Not that one.
Not the
I mean,
one
I do
after
love that
that one.
scene. Very emotionally powerful. Love that so much. However, there is another scene that comes after this that I love dearly.
So good.
Yes!
Stefan rushes off to go find Klaus and kill him. She
Oh no.
Elena tries to hold him back because she's like, you're angry. You're going to get yourself and Damon killed.
But Stefan says, fuck that shit.
Stefan runs to the door, tears open the door, takes like 2 steps, and then gets his ass thrown back into the house.
I loved it. Whee!
And in enters Sage. She kicks his ass.
Yeah, as she
Amy literally
should.
walked and was like, ding dong.
Ding dong. And he's like, Sage? She's like, oh, good. So you know who I am. I'm going to kick your ass now.
And I like to go all 10 rounds.
And it's just like, oh, I love you, Sage. I love you so much. So they start to kind of duke it out. But then Sage starts coughing. And she's not as strong as she was.
Interesting.
What?
And then Troy walks into the house. And she's like, hey, come over here and help me. And then he's not as strong as he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to help her, and he keeps coughing up blood. And then he just collapses onto the ground. And so does Sage.
Ooh. And you're like,
and they just in the middle of the floor, apropos of nothing,
die.
start to desiccate.
And die.
So
she just died of a broken heart, and Troy was also in love with Finn.
I think that my brain first went to, is Tyler back? Did they get bitten by a werewolf and not realize? Like, what happened?
And Caroline, Stefan, and Elena talk about that. They're like, well, did they get bitten? And Caroline's like, well, that's not, hybrid bites don't do that to you.
Right.
Yeah, it takes about like a day to go through your system and kill you.
Exactly. And then Stefan kind of pieces together. He's like, well, Sage was turned by Finn.
Wait, really quickly before we get to there, I love how Caroline mind went, oh, maybe Sage was just really in love with Finn.
It just
She died of a broken heart. Then Elaine's like, well, that doesn't explain Troy. And I'm like, wow, y'all, expand your minds. Maybe he was really in love with Finn too.
Yeah.
Stefan pieces together that Sage was turned by Finn. Troy was also turned by Sage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bloodline thing. When an original vampire dies, every vampire in their bloodline dies with them.
And that's when I was like, oh shit, this just got wild.
So if all the originals are killed, the vampire species will cease to exist.
You're like, what the
This twist. Okay.
So good. It's so subtle too.
The first time ever hearing it, I was screaming because it's like, this is not fucking happening. Because it's like, now you have this whole thing, like, what if Klaus is the maker of their bloodline? Now they can't, you're like, shit.
And like,
but it was just such an original, like, an original, like, thing. Like, I wouldn't even thought of that. Like, that's a really good idea. Plot twist, 10 out of 10.
And when you, like, a thing that you talk about is like, the use of like power in shows. And like
power balance.
Power and balancing. I think this is a great example of that, where they're like, now they might not be able to kill them because they might die as a result.
Yeah,
like everybody hates all of the originals, but also if they kill the originals, it will be very bad for everybody.
Yeah,
like everybody.
This was because Esther did say that this is her making a right to her wrong, so Esther knew.
Yeah,
and Esther probably is the one who made that happen. She probably wrote that fucking asterisk in there.
I think it makes sense.
It does.
It makes complete sense that once you kill an original, they're like the starters of the bloodline, so their bloodline would die. But also, I guess I kind of had an inkling that that's what Esther wanted to do all along, because when she came back, the way she talked about vampires, it was not like in any positive light.
It wasn't like she was like, I'm just gonna kill my kids and peace out.
Yeah. It felt very much like she wanted to get rid of all of them. And I was like, how would she even achieve that? And then she never did. So I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong about that. And now we know that is exactly what she wanted to do.
Also, it kind of gets me thinking now, because I just thought about that. In like some vampire lore, if you kill the vampire queen, every vampire like in her dies with her, I think. I think that's in mythology. I have no clue.
Do vampires have like queen bees?
I think, hold on.
Is that like a thing? While you're looking that up, I also wanted to say it's also a very interesting sort of flip on the theme of the show that is all about family and all about bloodlines. Brian and I hinted at this way back in the beginning of like season 1 or 2. We were like, yeah, the whole bloodline thing is going to come into effect here, Like your family is your blood, whether you like it or not. And this is a very good sort of flip on it, because Bonnie she has the power of her bloodline behind her, but she doesn't have any direct connection to that anymore. She doesn't have her mom or her dad or her grandma or anybody, really. So
Yep.
her family is becoming the rest of the Mystic Falls gang. And like vampires, the boys have done that to an extent too, right? Like their family has become the Mystic Falls gang. But now you're like sort of forced to reckon with the fact they need their blood family. Like
Yeah.
it's just such an interesting, they're like, we are gonna hit you over the head with this again and again and again.
But it's also such an interesting concept because now blood is not only defined by the people like you grew up with or the people who have the same parents as you, but it's also just like someone who turns you into a vampire. So
Yep.
so it's kind of like, I want to say like maybe like a chosen family route where like now literally anyone could be your family. You could make your own family by just turning a whole bunch of people.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Also,
super
I couldn't find
fascinating.
anything.
Okay. Well, that's just a weird thing that your brain made up, but I'm okay
I
with
think it's
that.
like probably like a vampire book probably did that.
Queen vampire.
But I remember hearing it somewhere. I don't know where.
So Stefan shows up to the Michelson mansion. I'm just gonna call it Michelson Manor, even though you call it the mansion.
I wasn't sure what to call. I wasn't sure if it was a manor or a mansion or
I think it's a manor.
HGTV renovation.
HGTV Dream Home. Stefan shows up to the Michelson Manor with the bag of white oak steaks to make a deal to free Damon. He reveals to them that Finn is dead, and Klaus doesn't trust him. But
Nope.
since Rebecca has been draining Damon of his vervain during the day, he goes to compel Damon to leave. And so Damon
It was so gross.
tries to break out in this really gory sequence where he tries to break out of the chains, just like ripping his wrists open some more.
Oh, it was
And the
so
sound
gross.
is horrible.
It is, but I love this. It's just so vindictive and evil.
It is. There's also a little Klaus monologue we'll talk about later, but like this is such good Klaus, such a good bad
It
guy.
is.
So back at the Salvatore house, Caroline comes back in after burying Sage and Troy, and Elena says that they still have 3 white oak stakes. They just need to figure out who the original vampire of their bloodline is and hope it's not Klaus.
Yep.
Because Caroline was turned with Damon's blood, and Damon and Stefan were turned by Catherine. Catherine was turned by Rose, who we saw earlier in the season, and they don't know who turned Rose though.
Right.
So they're
So that's the
they're
big
going to be
question.
trying to trace back their bloodline.
Which
Yep.
can next episode be them just like making a family tree?
It kind of is.
It kind of actually is.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but there is something that I said back in season 2. I think that there's something that I said back in season 2 that's going to come back to haunt them here, and I have been waiting so long for this payoff.
Really? I don't remember.
I don't think you were on that episode, Brian, because it wasn't one of
shocker.
the 2 episodes that you're on.
Shocker.
But there was a moment in like season 2 when we were first introduced to Elijah and to that one vampire who kept getting PhDs, and he kept a record of every vampire and who turned them. And I was like, at the time, I was like, wow, this is something that's going to come in handy later. I hope they keep this character around. And then he died.
Yeah.
This is when it would have come in handy, folks.
Oh god.
Oh my god, that
I'm laying down
holy
the fucking
shit.
I lay down the foreshadowing. Get on my fucking level.
Holy shit, we did need that guy.
Exactly. Get on my fucking level.
Oh, thank you for doing that, B. That's gonna make me so happy when I go back and listen. Oh yeah.
You're gonna actually know how it all comes back around. Brian and I say this is a secret Mousecatool we'll use for later quite often, but that one genuinely, I threw
good.
that all the way back in season 2, and we have just now caught up with it.
love
It's so good.
I love how
That's
we can
cool.
lay down things that can be referenced on in later episodes.
I've laid things down that we're gonna come back to in season fucking 8.
Yeah, there are so many. Like, I will give the Vampire Diaries this. Somehow they have managed to reference themselves quite a lot.
Yeah, and they honestly
I hope that we as a podcast reference ourselves in the past.
I will say this though, Vampire Diaries does do pretty good of like tying up a lot of loose ends as the
Some
show
of them.
goes on. Some of them they just kind of like, okay, bye. But some of them they're like, here's a pretty bow.
So, Caroline realizes that even if Klaus didn't create their bloodline, Tyler was still turned directly by Klaus.
And then you're like, oh shit.
Oh.
And so then you're like, oh my god, does the murder of one title of this episode count just towards Finn? Or does it count for their intentional, they're gonna kill Tyler by killing Klaus? Am I playing 4D chess right now? Probably, but that's okay.
And here's the thing. If they find out, like Stefan and Damon find out that Klaus didn't turn their bloodline,
They're gonna kill him. They don't care about Tyler.
And Caroline cannot save Tyler whatsoever. There is nothing that she can do.
So,
Ugh.
yikes, gang.
So that just added like an extra level of stakes. Huh?
Speaking of stakes,
ooh,
Klaus compels Damon to tell him how many stakes there actually are, because Stefan only brought 8.
You know, because that's smart.
Why did Stefan say there were 8 stakes?
He could have just said
one's
that.
already in Finn.
Because, but, if he just didn't say how many stakes there were, he could have just been like, here's the stakes that can kill you. And then Damon goes, there's 11 of them. And they go, okay, cool, thanks. Like, yes, they would have stopped for a moment to count them, but that would have given him a moment to get Damon away, you know?
That's true.
Like, stop being such an honest boy right off the bat, motherfucker. God damn.
I'm trying to think if there was a way he could have tricked them.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, though, because Damon was also very weak and bleeding.
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, here's my solution to that. They should have just taken one of the stakes and made it a little smaller.
Just a little bit.
Just given them
like a little tiny like toothpick.
And then they were like, here you go. These are all the stakes. Wink wink, nudge nudge.
Well, you know.
That would have been smart. Would have been smart. Just saying.
Would have been smart.
Because they were big enough that they could have broken one of those down. They could have broken maybe one or two of them down into more than one, you know?
Yeah. And then Klaus has this little monologue here that is so fucking great.
It's good. Yeah. It makes me hate him even more.
Good.
Oh, it makes you hate him, but
it's so good.
It's perfect.
Klaus is like, I have given you a purpose, and this is how you repay me.
Which was like narcissist much?
But also, he goes like, I've given you someone to hate so you don't turn it in on yourself. You're like, whoa, my guy?
What the fuck?
Holy shit. I mean, like, yes, you have. And just peak, like, cocky bad guy Klaus is my favorite Klaus. He is cocky. He is sure of himself, and he's like, I have given you a fucking purpose because I have made myself the bad guy.
Which, like,
you're fucking welcome.
Which, like, is wild to think that you're like, I have intentionally, like, as if he's intentionally been this bad guy just to help Stefan have some.
Maybe he has, and maybe they've been lovers this whole time, though, Jordan. Have you considered this?
The only thing I'm considering is that he's always been the bad guy, and now he's just saying, oh, look at what I've done for you, in order to try to make himself, I don't know, lift his ego a little more.
Oh, he's absolutely trying to vindicate himself, but, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a good villain monologue. It's just so good.
It makes me hate him a little bit more.
And Joseph Morgan is just so fucking good at these.
He really is.
In here, and then there's so many of them in, like, the originals. Like, this is the first sort of little glimpse at, like, the absolute just Shakespearean motherfucker that Klaus is.
It's great.
And you're like, oh, so you're Shakespearean, you're dramatic, you do evil bad guy monologues because you're the bad guy, and that is so fucking good. It's just so fucking good. Hey, Pixel. Why are you yelling? Why are you yelling, Pixel?
Meow.
My blinds are closed on my window right now, and she was trying to jump up onto the ledge, but she was, well, she fucked up because it's closed.
She's like, nah, evil.
Now she's just sitting on my chair and trying to bite my hands.
Oh, cutie.
I love you. You're evil and you hate me, but I love you. Look at you go. Oh,
you're evil and I hate. So, did you just grab Klaus Michelson right there?
Yeah, my cat is actually Klaus Michelson. It's wild. Rebecca frees Damon as a sign of good faith for Stefan to bring back the rest of the stakes. And then Klaus says that if Stefan doesn't, he will wage war on everyone he loves, which is pretty much Klaus's go-to threat.
Yep.
But
But
he
how can
is an
Klaus wage
eternal
war on himself?
vindictive. You really fucking threw me off there. I wasn't gonna be talking, but I'm like, wow, you really fucking threw me off. Fuck, you really threw me off there, huh?
You're welcome.
Oh, let me see here. Will you talk if I put you up to the mic?
Pixel, what are your thoughts on Bonnie Bennett?
Pixel, your thoughts on Bonnie Bennett? Ow, you just bit me, but that's because you're a shitty cat, not because you don't like Bonnie.
Please keep that in, please.
Just one-sided battle with me and my cat who desperately wants to play right now, but I'm not letting her.
Pixel, we're almost done, I promise.
She is sitting on my chair right now. Her eyes are the size of fucking dinner plates. She is going to pounce on my back at some point because I'm standing in front of my chair right now.
Oh no.
She is gonna fucking pounce on my back. If I suddenly yelled, that is literally what happened, and I'm not shitting you right now.
We'll be talking about the cliffhanger and you'll be like, and then Also, I want to know your thoughts. So your thoughts obviously on the vampire bloodline thing. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's one of the best plot twists the Vampire Diaries has ever done? Because I mean, there's obviously more to come, but do you think that this is one that's like?
I think
Ooh.
like
as of right now, like one of the good ones.
I think it's one of the good ones. I didn't see it coming, which I think was really good.
Mhm.
And also it was done so subtly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they didn't make like you think that would be the end of the episode, but it wasn't.
No, because there's still more to come.
And I think actually that makes it a good plot twist. That it's not
Yeah.
like this huge reveal and then we end the episode.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of like when they revealed Klaus was a hybrid.
Yeah.
That completely came out of left field, and
Right.
so did this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think this is one of the good ones that they've done.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it very much. I think it makes the episode high. Like these
Mhm.
are that definitely was one of my favorite scenes. Like the whole
Yeah.
like Sage coming back,
Ugh.
kicking
Ding
Stefan's
dong.
ass,
Pew!
and then dying immediately. You're like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Mood.
Like I can
Oh.
even imagine like watching that live and having that happen and then
Yeah.
it cutting to black and going to commercials.
It
And
was
you're like, what the fuck is
torturous.
happening? And you have to wait for it to come back. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was very good. Very well done.
Rebecca and Klaus have a moment here while they're burning the stakes, and Rebecca is mourning the loss of Finn, and Klaus is like being a shitty boy.
Yeah.
And Rebecca's like, have a little fucking respect. Would you care if I died? And, you know, yikes. Here's hoping you would,
Please.
Klaus. Please, God. And Klaus wonders why Rebecca has a soft spot for the Salvatores. And she says that while Stefan and Damon might still fight like dogs, they would die for each other. And Klaus says that
I love that line so much.
You use that line quite a lot, actually, when you're talking about the Salva boys.
Because, like, how Julie Plec described this show, it's not a love triangle, like a love story between a girl and two vampires.
But it kind of is.
It kind of is.
But it is.
But it's also a weird way to how she described it was a love story for two brothers. Like, not incest. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Not incest.
Please, God.
Please, no.
Like brotherly love.
Brotherly love. Like, because this is about two brothers who have gone. Because when we first met Damon and Stefan, obviously, there was a lot of tension there.
I mean, there's still some of that.
There's a lot of tension still there. And it's kind of like they're working towards fixing all the problems they've had for the past 160 God years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and then Rebecca noticing that and seeing like putting it into her own family, like,
yeah, it's
and
good.
also this line is kind of a secret Muscatool for later, very much later, but
it's another secret Muscatool that we're gonna use for
it
later.
is a very, but it makes sense.
It's a good one. It's a very good
one. I can't wait for Jordan to get to that point. I think Jordan's gonna.
I can't wait for Check's Watch 4 more years before we get there.
I can't wait, Jordan. I can't wait.
Rebecca says that if she chooses to stay in Mystic Falls, what will Klaus think of her? And Klaus is like, well, you're going to be just as fucking pathetic as Finn.
Klaus is such a bad person.
He's a dick. He's a dick. We will fully admit it, and then I will later on turn into a gigantic Klaus Michelson stan.
Yeah.
Here's the
So
thing.
he's a dick.
I hated Klaus on the Vampire Diaries. Oh, sorry. I was talking in my cup for a second. I hated Klaus on the Vampire Diaries. Hated him, hated him, hated him. And I was like, please leave, please leave.
He's the worst.
And
And then he
and
did
then they were like,
to go to
spin
the
off. And I was like,
originals.
woohoo! And then I was like, wait a minute. God damn it. I got to watch that. I hated Klaus up until I want to say season 3-ish of the originals. It took a while for me to finally like start to like Klaus. And then season 4 of the originals, when he has a lot more scenes with a specific character, I was like, "Oh fuck, this guy, this guy good." I just couldn't forgive him for Aunt Jenna. I held on to that
That makes
grudge.
sense. I'm
I
still
held
angry
on to it.
about Angela.
I held on to it, and everyone's like, "Why do you like him?" I'm like, "He killed Jenna."
Yeah,
Kill
I
that
get
Jenna.
that grudge. I'm still angry about it. I still think about it sometimes. How things
Yeah.
would be different if Jenna was still around.
She'd be a vampire, and oh, that'd be interesting.
I mean,
That
if she
would be
never got
fascinating.
turned into a vampire, you know? If
Or
she
she
was
was just
Oh,
there. Oh,
if she was
yeah,
just
I
still
know.
around, you know? Just like there for Jeremy and
getting
Elena.
compelled and stabbing herself in the stomach, like, oh god.
I miss Jenna. Ugh.
R.I.P. Jenna, we still miss you. We're still out here for you,
We're still
Jenna.
dealing with the trauma of your death.
I love
Jenna,
you,
I miss you.
Sarah Canning. I love you. Please come back. I know you're not, but come back.
How would she come back?
Just come back some legacies. Hello.
It's like from out of left field a million years ago. We're bringing Aunt Jenna back.
Honestly, Julie did say open door policy.
But it's also so funny because can you imagine somebody who
Never
watches
watched the
Legacies?
Vampire Diaries.
No. Watches Legacies. Got through like a season of the Vampire Diaries and was like, hey, I like this Aunt Jenna character. Why is she never coming on Legacies? And then goes to Google like the Wikipedia page for Aunt Jenna and finds out that she's been dead for 20 years.
Yeah.
I hate that moment when you go to look up a character just to see like the spelling of their name and then it's like deceased and you're like, oh fuck.
That's what happened with me and Teen Wolf. Let me tell you what happened with Teen Wolf. I was in the middle of the season when the character died. Then was like, oh my gosh, I love this character so much. Let me look up more facts about them. And then found out they were dying that season. And it was like, great.
Yeah.
So now I have to watch up until the point that they die. Great. So excited.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
We go back now to the Salvatore house, where Elena's checking up on Stefan and telling him that, he scared her today. Stefan's like, all the time and energy I wasted hating Klaus wasn't worth it. And Elena's like, well, you know what? You managed to fight back. Good job, sport. Stefan's like, well,
punch him on
but
the
did
shell,
I?
the
Yeah.
elbow, like the shoulder.
Keep your head up. Keep your head up, sport. He's like, did I fight back though? Because it's my fault that you're in love with Damon now. Which way to center a woman's feelings on yourself, Stefan.
I will say I did. It's kind of because I forgot about the scene when I was rewatching this.
Mm-hmm.
How he kind of just like called her the fuck out. I was like,
he really did.
damn.
Like, anyway, you're in love with my brother. Goodbye.
Between the episode of Elena still telling Damon to stop obsessing over her and this episode, when did the switch flip?
In between the episode, there's a fan fiction somewhere.
Got it. Cool.
There's a fanfic that was probably written by Julie Plec, plugging in the gap somewhere.
Cool. And I also love this show when they don't focus in on the love triangle, and now that they've decided to focus in on it again, I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, it gets a little whack here for a while. I am gonna just tell you that.
Why? I hate love. I with the passion. I hate love triangles as a trope. They're the most boring and annoying tropes. Okay, stop doing them. They're not fun for anyone.
But
I like them if they're done right.
It's the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
The whole premise of the show is a love triangle.
I know.
But they will actually be resolving it pretty soon here, right? It's pretty well resolved by.
I will say this, Jordan. At the end of
4.
the season, Elena will make a choice.
Okay, I know what that choice is. Right?
No, you don't.
I don't
You
know
do
what
not.
that choice is.
You don't want to know what that choice is.
Cool.
I'm not going to tell you. It relates to the brothers. and then causes some problems next season.
Okay.
Here's the thing, Jordan. We're getting out of the main meat of the love triangle here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is going to be resolved here pretty soon, one way or the other. So that's good news. Is that we're getting out of it here, because the Salvatore love triangle is going to be kind of ending here,
Thank
which
God.
is good.
Yeah, it's everyone thinks that the love triangle is still after season 4. The love triangle kind of takes a back seat a little bit.
Okay, great.
Like, yeah, there's still like Stefan and Elena moments, obviously, but it's not. It's they kind of get a good resolution to their love story.
I just hate love
Yeah.
triangles because they really serve no purpose to the overall story unless the story you're
Correct.
telling is a romantic one.
Correct.
They're just kind of like distractions from the main meat. And I'm just here to see the main meat. I don't care about the side stuff, all right?
I'm just here for the main the meat. I don't want the
You're here
potatoes.
for the filet mignon.
I don't want the green beans that are on the side. I don't want the fucking potatoes. I just want the fucking meat.
As a
Okay,
vegan,
sometimes I want potatoes.
as a vegan, I want the meat, okay?
I just want the meat right here. We cannot keep saying I want the meat. We cannot.
You want some meat, brother?
We cannot keep saying this.
You want some meat, brother?
We cannot.
You
Welcome
want that
to my
vampire
podcast.
meat, brother?
I am putting my foot down. I am pounding my fist on this imaginary table that we are all around, and we cannot just say I want the meat anymore. I don't want the meat. Stop.
What do I want, B? What do I want?
You want the main story.
Okay, I want the
Jordan. You don't want the
meat.
meat. Brian, we cannot keep saying this.
Listen, now that you told me I can't say it, now I want to say it.
This is a family-friendly podcast for families who are really friendly with swearing.
This is fucking Gwen.
This is a Christian
This is a good Mormon podcast.
Okay.
I'm not saying we're anything, but we cannot be the podcast that says, I want the meat.
You want the meats, brother?
Stop! We can't! We are moving on. Elena says that she doesn't know what she feels, which is the story of her life.
Story of my fucking life, too.
She needs just like a day to think about her feelings.
Same. Are you one of those people who need to take a day to make a decision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually just like make a decision. Stop, Brian.
I eat some meat, think about my life.
Brian.
I make
it's actually true. I do make my favorite meal, and it's very meat based.
This is how I make decisions. I choose one thing, and then but on the inside, I am self-sabotaging. I know that, so I choose one thing, and I was like, actually, no, I didn't want that. Why did I think that? And it's actually the other thing.
Yeah.
I make decisions pretty on the spot, which is why I'm making the decision right now that we can no longer say that we want the meat on this podcast.
So this is now a vegan podcast.
Okay, I can share some. I can share some vegan recipes. They don't involve blood because not vegan.
I demand the chickpeas.
Yeah, there could be chickpeas involved.
Ooh, I like chickpeas.
Okay,
I like falafels too.
We cannot keep this podcast going on any longer. We're running up to like 2 hours that we are taking to record this single episode of this podcast.
We're actually at the end, and we
are literally so close to being done, and you guys are talking about chickpeas. I swear to fucking God.
Ooh, that was a thunderbolt.
That was actually just my voice. That was me yelling at you that we need to finish this podcast.
Let's do it. Last scene.
The last scene is Alaric showing up to Damon. Fuck!
Alaric showing up to Alaric. Woo!
Alaric opens the door. It's him! Whoa! There are 2 Alarics!
That would have been a cool thing for them to do.
I mean, we kind of got that reveal, though. There are 2 Alarics.
There's evil Alaric.
Should he manifest as like an actual person like they did with Josie?
Yes.
Oh, that's where Josie got it from.
Yeah.
What actually happens here is that Damon shows up to Alaric's apartment and to get that final stake so they can make good on their deal with Klaus.
Mm-hmm.
Alaric goes to the bookshelf. He's like, yeah, it's just right behind some books here because, I'm an old man like that.
I'm a nerd.
And he realizes that the stake is missing.
What?
Shit.
Evil Alaric took the stake and hid it somewhere.
I loved his realization of it though. He's like, I didn't tell anyone about that, and he goes, oh fuck.
He's like, I didn't tell anybody. Shit, fuck, god damn it.
I originally thought that he killed someone with the stake. You know,
That he had killed another original that we just didn't know
no,
about.
not even another original. Just
Like
like
he just killed someone with it.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
because you know how
Just
he
like a
took,
regular person.
like he yeah
Just some
exactly
random woman walking
like
down the street.
or like a
Hi,
council
Mark.
member
How you
or like a council member. You know,
Yeah,
I
that would
just-
attract, because he did kill Bad Brian, the medical examiner, with
Yeah.
a stake to the
Yeah.
heart.
that's what I mean. That's
Stake
what,
to
exactly
the
what I mean.
heart. In
And
your...
who to wait.
I sang it off key because I don't have keys.
Oh, thank you. I
You're
was also
welcome.
just like mumble singing that whole thing, so I'm glad that we both did that bad.
Simlish.
I'm glad that neither of us did that good.
No.
That's
Simon
it.
Cowell said it. Randy said
Stop.
it's a no from me,
Stop.
dog.
Stop.
What?
Cut.
Cut?
That's it.
So that's it for this episode of Afterbite. Thank you for joining us, gang. Jordan,
Hey!
what do you rank this episode? What do you rank episode 318, The Murder of One?
The murder of one.
The
There
Murder
were
of One, please.
there were some good parts.
Uh-huh.
There were some good parts, like the little
Mhm.
plot twist. I like that. I like the second plot twist at the end with Alaric. I liked. What else did I like? I like
What did
Sage.
you like? Sage I did like. I liked Sage and Finn's bit this episode.
Yes,
I liked
Yeah.
them.
I
think they were
I
very
like
cute.
them. I don't know. I like the Bonnie scene with the little heartbreaking moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something pulling me back from giving me like this episode kind of lacked a wow factor for me. All right?
Okay.
There were like a lot
Mhm.
of good things, but like nothing really
There's like
stuck.
cool moments, but not like whoa.
Yeah,
moments.
nothing really stuck out to me as like amazing. But it wasn't a bad episode, you know?
Yeah, it was a good episode. It was a lot of wow moments, but no wow factor.
Yeah, and there was nothing really like I guess wow pulling it together. Like I know it's a good episode if I'm like really engaged and I can I can feel like a kind of I don't know how to explain it, but like a flow.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that this episode. There were some parts that kind of felt off, especially in the beginning, and it took me a while to kind of get into this episode. But there was like some cute moments, so I think I would give it maybe like should I give it a 7.5 or an 8?
Well, you gave the last episode, Break on 3, you gave that one a 7.
Okay, then I'll give
So-
an 8. An 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Brian, what are you giving this episode?
Shocker, I'm giving it a 0. It was the worst episode of the Vampire Diaries ever.
Whoa.
You're
Not
giving
there
it a
yet.
10.
Season 5, I'm coming for you. Actually, thinking about it now, I was gonna give it a 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of talking about it again, kind of going through the things,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 9.
9.
It was because again, how I base these ratings is how I watched it the first time.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, this was just one of those episodes that like it stuck in my brain as like one of the big game changer episodes.
Mhm.
That doesn't even affect it affects not only this show but the originals.
Yeah. True.
It carries over. Like the problems from this episode that are started in this episode carry over.
It
So
does
it's like-
have it plants a lot of seeds in a garden that will come back to torture all the originals later.
Yeah. So it's just a nice little like ooh. And plus I like the story with it. I liked it. It was fun.
I do too. I actually really I liked this episode a lot because it actually all felt coherent for once.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about before how like sometimes the B plots and C plots are just like there to be there.
Oh yeah.
I like this.
Everything
They all
absolutely-
feel
everyone-
coherent.
Everything felt like it served a purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, even Damon getting tortured like served a purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So I am gonna give this episode. I'm gonna give it a 9 actually
Ooh.
because I really enjoyed this episode.
Join me up here, Hunty.
I am joining you, guys. I have something sad to report.
What?
The Bonnie Bennett kidnap counter has had to go up one
Fuck.
because she was kidnapped by
Yeah,
cops
she
in
was.
this episode. Off screen, but she was still kidnapped.
She just like was like, God damn it.
We had
just
such a
got yoinked.
good thing going.
Yeah.
I know.
Should we make a kidnap counter for Damon?
No.
We
Oh.
don't do that for the men.
Yeah, men don't deserve that.
We don't keep track for them because it happens so sporadically.
Yeah.
That's true. It does.
Hey, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the
Hi.
MVP for this episode?
Me for being put through this shit.
Last episode, Brian, we were having a tough time.
Yeah.
So
Last
you guys
episode, it
pick?
was Stefan, actually, for 19.
Really?
For
For
Break
Break
On
On
Through.
Through?
it was like hard.
Actually,
We needed a
makes
tiebreaker,
sense.
kind of.
Yeah. So, what are
Hmm.
your guys's? Who is the MVP this episode? I would like to make a case.
Go
Make a
for
case.
Finn.
Yeah.
Oh, poor
That's
baby.
sweet.
I think I give him this one out of pity, but also because he is the plot device this episode, you know?
That's true.
That's true.
Without him dying, we would not have known this.
And he is the catalyst for making things happen, and he is the catalyst for us realizing that the bonding spell has been broken. You know, he's the catalyst for us realizing that the bloodlines are all linked back to the originals, you know?
And he was the one that even helped link all the originals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like I am putting
know
to the
what?
table, I'm bringing, hey guys, welcome my friend Finn to the table. He's gonna just sit here for a while and see if we decide we like him enough.
You know what? You know what? Based on how Finn comes back later on, I'm gonna say Finn too.
I was gonna say Klaus.
Klaus, okay.
I hated him this episode, but I have to say him.
He did do a very good villain monologue here. And
Good
he did
villain
do the
monologue.
unlinking.
Also had a nice moment with Finn in the beginning of like convincing him to come back. Being
Big
Yeah.
little brother energy
you have to come
there,
back. He has like
Mhm.
some scene with Rebecca where he's being like a little bit of an asshole, but he also has a scene with Damon. He has that whole gore thing,
yeah.
you know, where
Yeah.
he's like, Damon, go home, and then nasty stuff happens where
Yeah.
with his wrists. And he also
Ooh.
is with Bonnie and is like just I would
Yeah.
say the
true.
coercing of Bonnie isn't that great in my opinion, but he did coerce her into doing the
He
thing.
did do that,
He
yeah.
did.
Okay, so out of which Michelson brother do we like more for the MVP of this episode? I don't necessarily want to give it to Finn out of pity, but I also do like a lot of what Finn served this episode as a
Mhm.
plot
Yeah.
device.
Yeah.
But I also do so love Klaus's villain monologue so goddamn much.
Here's my problem with Finn is that even
Mhm.
though he was a plot device, I didn't really get to know him as a character.
Yeah.
And I didn't really feel anything for his death other than like maybe like how Sage was dealing with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go with, are we going to then go with Klaus for this
I
ep?
can go with Klaus. My second
Alrighty.
runner-up is going to be Rebecca for torturing Damon.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
Valid, honestly.
That was pretty good.
This is
It's
the
like, I'm gonna-
second. This is the second time this season that Klaus has gotten the MVP award.
I mean, Joseph
Good
Morgan
for
knows
him.
what
You
he's
know what?
doing.
Good for him.
Good for Klaus.
He's a good villain, so
That's true.
Good for him.
We are going to be back next time with episode 319, Heart of Darkness.
Good title.
Delena stands,
Another.
get ready. This is entirely for you.
I hate it
This
here.
one's for you, baby girl.
I hate it here. So I haven't watched the episode yet, but I started watching
Mhm.
it, and the moment that I was told that I was gonna have to watch another road trip between Damon and Elena, I got really sad about it.
Delena road trip time.
I was like, oh, so I have to sit through another one of these?
Yep,
Okay.
you
Yep.
do.
And
I like
But-
how I say Delena stands, this is for you, as though any Delena
Yeah,
stands are sticking
you're-
with us through
no,
this podcast.
they're not
because we
watching
kind of
this
insult them
podcast.
all the time.
yeah.
You got me, the number one Delena fan, like in the corner going, woo, there's still a chance.
If you are a Delena stan and you still listen to this podcast,
How are you getting through this?
are you
Thank you.
good?
Are you
Like,
okay?
thank you. I do appreciate it, but like, are you okay? That'll be next week, though. Until then, y'all can get in contact with us on Twitter at AfterBitePod or leave us a voice message on anchor.fm/Afterbite. Delena Stans, let me know why you're listening to this podcast still at
Yeah.
anchor.fm/Afterbite. Please and thank you.
Also,
Until
leave a rating and review.
Leave a rating and review
iTunes.
on Apple Podcasts, please. It does help us out way, way more than you know.
Mhm.
Please, it really does. Until then, y'all stay inside, stay safe, and wash your fucking hands.
And wear your goddamn mask.
Two things, real quick.
Oh, we're doing two things now.
Oh, two
Um,
things now.
Wait, yeah, we do have to save the postal office.
Yeah, save the post office. Please contact your congressperson if you're from the United States. Contact them about
Yes,
that.
save the
That's
post office.
important.
We need them.
Make sure that they're making sure that the postal office stays in service, and if they are not doing that, vote them out. if they're able to be voted out. And
If
the
they're
other thing is defund the police as a first step to abolishing the police.
Yay!
Please do that. It's important.